Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here with the fabulous Kelly Backert, who is a personal best friend of mine, also my trainer who loves to kick my ass. And if you don't know, she's also the owner of Core Bootcamps, which is a fabulous place to move your body and work out in the Harford County area. So check that out if you want a place, especially in the world of COVID with all the things. It's a great place to do it in a variety of different ways. I've been loving the virtual, so I've been really enjoying that. And Kelly and I wanted to jam with you today and maybe a couple more times because last year we had so much fun on Kelly's radio show talking about the holidays because it creates for most of us stress, meltdowns, tears, guilt, all the all the things. Let's just say all the things. And so many people responded to what we shared last year. We realized this year in the holiday season that things are even a little bit more different and a little bit more stressful because we are wrapping it in the Rona. So we're going to share some ideas, and we would love if you have questions, you're watching this, please send us a message or a note, give us any ideas for things we haven't answered here that you'd like to know about, and we will pick up on that for the next one.
Yeah,
All right,
let's
so
have this be like a continuous conversation, right? I
absolutely.
think it'd be
Just
so much fun. Okay, so
beautiful jam.
Stace, I wanted to say thanks for doing this because this is a lot of fun and I think it's important to a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people were, and I think you and I included are kind of freaking out during
Yeah.
this time because 2020's Thanksgiving that's like seriously fast approaching is
It
so
is.
different. I mean, when we did our holiday talk last year,
Mhm.
I mean, it was good, but everything's changed so drastically
Yeah.
that we're talking about a whole new thing here. We're talking about maybe a situation where we can't see our family this year.
Yeah. You know, it's funny you say that because originally we had planned, my family had planned all to try to still get together, and then things started to change a little bit. And quite honestly, we had to have, my husband and I had to have a conversation about what is the best decision for our family. And I think both of us were a little nervous about having that conversation with each other because we realized that probably what that answer was, which we did come to, was we were going to have to do something different. And in doing something different, which is really just again celebrating very quietly at our house, is some disappointment because I look forward to Thanksgiving's my favorite holiday. Not being able to be running around and chasing my nephews and doing all the typical things that we would do in a holiday, there is a sense of loss and sadness, at least for me. And I think step one is honoring that it is going that this time, this situation is probably going to bring up some disappointment for us, no matter what we choose. What do you
Yeah.
think, Cal?
Well, yeah, absolutely. But I think also like there's an idea of there's like resentment towards it, right? And frustration
Mm,
and anger. Like I'm already giving up so much. My
yeah.
kids aren't in school.
Yep.
I've had to change this. I've had to change this.
Mhm.
And there's like an anger, like, well, I don't want to have to change this. I
Yeah.
want to see my parents. I
Yeah.
want to get together with that big group of people.
Yeah.
And then the conversation can be heated between your significant other or
Mhm.
let's say there is going to be a group of 50 people
Mhm.
and you're deciding with your spouse or your family makes the best decision for you that says we're not going to attend, right? We're going
Yeah.
to do something different.
Yeah.
But then there may be the rest of the people who are deciding to get together,
Mhm.
and then there's anger, and then there's resentment, and then
Yeah.
there's this thing. So now you're making a decision which you feel good about to keep your family safe and healthy, but then on the
Mhm.
other side of that, the other people may not understand.
Yeah.
So I guess for you, like, to ask
Yep.
you, like, if someone comes to you and they say to you like, look, I am so distraught because I know this is what's best for my family, but what about the issues
Yeah. Well, ooh, we froze. Hopefully
because
we
we're
come
not
back.
attending while everyone else is attending?
Yeah, you froze there for just a half
Oh,
a second.
sorry.
That's okay. I think I got the gist of it. Um, I absolutely think, and I know you and I talk about this all the time, this is probably like the number one strategy that nobody wants to use, but is highly effective, is be willing to disappoint other people, right? And nobody wants to be in the discomfort of that, but absolutely if there is a difference of what one person thinks is best for them and what you think is best for you, it's okay that both people have different perspective, and it's okay it's slightly uncomfortable because again, most of us want to people please. We definitely, I find most women want to people please around the holidays, right? They're running around doing everything for everybody else. And so how do we learn how to be uncomfortable with saying what really is best and understanding we're going to get maybe some reactions or responses that, again, I don't believe we have to get into big defensive explanations for these things. Less is more. Like, this is the decision. I totally honor that you feel differently, and can we find the place where we both respect and honor each other's different decisions?
Yeah.
Instead of a back,
And
because it
sometimes,
can get
and
heated. Oh,
sometimes
trust me,
the
it can get
answer is,
heated.
sometimes the answer is being okay with them being angry, like
Yes,
them being upset and them not
yes,
understanding,
yes,
especially if they're older
yep,
or if they're in a different situation
yep,
than you are. So health wise or
yeah,
whatever, they may not understand. And you're right, like choosing to just, this is the best decision for us.
mm,
And then kind of leaving it at that and
yeah,
letting them manage their own selves in terms of what
absolutely.
they, if they have a perception and they have it, then that's a kind of about them,
Yeah,
not really about you.
yeah,
Because if they really, if they're, I shouldn't say it that way, but when you love someone and when you care about someone,
mhm,
you, there has to be some kind of honor and respect of their decisions.
yeah, and it's not your job to make them feel okay with it, and I know we don't like, people like, "What?"
Yeah.
Here's another thing, and I said this months ago to somebody, and his head exploded. He said, "Stacey, I think you changed my life." It's like, you absolutely even can't control how other people are feeling. So when people say to us, "Oh, you've made me so upset," or "You've made me so sad," or "I'm so," like, again, that's a manipulation too, a lot of times, where people are trying to make us feel guilty. We cannot feel guilty or kind of caught into that unless we allow it. So this idea that you could have this power over somebody or they could have, no, that's actually not true, even though we believe otherwise so often. And so you're right. How do we let them manage their response and reaction to that? Because that is all about them. And that we, again, even though we know it's going to be slightly uncomfortable, that we can just say, you know what, I absolutely respect. I'll let you kind of go off and figure that out, but not to get into a big back and forth. Because I think a lot of times that big back and forth is fueled by guilt. Oh my God, I need to make them feel better. I need to make this better. Everybody needs to be happy about this. You know what? Maybe not everybody's going to be happy. In addition to anger, what made me think, Cal, when you were talking too, is like FOMO, fear of I'm
Yeah.
out. Everybody else gonna have a good time doing all this stuff, and I'm gonna miss it,
Yeah.
right? And so that could be also coming up, and you might, like, again, just being more truthful about how you feel about it doesn't mean you might make a different decision, but just honoring that these choices that we're making are gonna kick up a lot of things, and it doesn't mean that we have to go against how we really feel. We just have to be able to be more truthful with ourselves, I think, about it.
Yeah, and another thing is that we'll take us in a little bit different direction because this is another
Mhm.
thing that's out there and we're not going to ignore it.
We never ignore
Okay, not
anything, Cal,
ignoring
do
it.
we?
Not ignoring it. Um, all right, so we what if you decide that you're
Mhm.
gonna go? So here I am, we're gonna go, we're gonna get together. Maybe we've actually been in touch with our family members, like maybe they live close by, so we've
Okay,
still have been quarantining
sure.
with or whatever. So let's say there's a small group of us, 10, we're gonna get
Mhm.
together. Maybe we're social distancing, but we're getting together.
Okay.
Then comes in the politics. The politics and
Mm.
all the 2020 talk,
Mhm.
political stuff,
Mhm.
the all that stuff. has
Mhm.
caused a lot of, well, like
Yeah.
disowning. Like it's
Yeah.
been super
Rift
bad.
in the family. I
And
agree.
I mean, what do I do? So I'm going into a situation where someone voted differently than me. And
Yep.
maybe I don't personally care, but they're extremely, and they
Yeah.
want to discuss this. So here I am, it's
Yep.
Thanksgiving. We're like, I'm a terrible person because I voted for whomever. And like,
Yep.
it's just all of that jazz. I
Yeah.
mean, there has to be a boundary set, right? Like I have to
Agreed.
be able to say, you know, I'm I can't discuss it. I think there's even situations,
Mhm.
Stacey, where people are feeling sad right now because maybe that's already happened and they're not even invited to Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Well, my heart just, yeah, goes out to all of that because you're right. I'm sure that is already happening.
Oh my gosh, you know it is.
To
Ugh.
me, years ago, I listened to Brene Brown talk on stage, and she had just written Braving the Wilderness. And it was about, again, one of the things she was talking about is how do you have these kind of conversations with family members? It's one thing with strangers, but with family members, and you want them to feel the way you feel, or maybe they want you to feel the way they feel. And what do we do? Because Brene's wise wisdom, in my opinion, was not like, okay, we're just going to disown everybody. But I think you're right. Number one is about boundaries. And I think in the family, tell me what you think about this, Kel, but I always say, and I don't know who said it, but like, you think your boundaries are really clean and clear, and then you go be with your family. And it's like the PhD level of boundary work. So you've gone through high school and maybe even, advanced, and then you get to your family, and then you're like 10 years old again, forgetting all the things that you
Yeah.
usually practice. So you're right. Like, what is the boundary for me? And I also think we can say it in a loving way. They might respond again, or they might even react because they want to engage in that, but just offering to me like more love, not less. So just kind compassion. I really, understand, uncle blah blah blah, that you have this perspective and I have something different. We're just gonna let's like table that today and just let's focus on, again, what, why we're all here, or what we're here about. Like, we don't need, and especially I think in 2020, our hearts are tender, like we're tired, we've been grieving this whole year. Like, can we just show up and offer each other this beautiful compassion? And when somebody does do it, instead of just kind of jumping, I know a lot of us are just angry in general for how this year has unfolded, like offer ourselves compassion. We're doing the best we can, and try again practicing a sentence maybe ahead of time if you know that family member is going to do that. So going into that situation, you already know what you're going to say, because a lot of times what I find is if I don't know what I'm going to say and then they catch me off guard, I get sucked in.
Yeah. And
What do
I
I want to tell them?
okay, being okay with your own, during this time, we talked about kind of during this time. So
Yeah.
during this time, even right now, like besides going into the holidays, there is a lot of resentment, there is a lot of anger, there is a lot of frustration, there is a lot of sadness. And I think that you and I we've talked about this a lot, but we have just allowed ourselves to feel all those things.
Mhm.
Like you've allowed a space for me to just
Mhm.
be really pissed sometimes and really sad
Yeah.
sometimes and really tired sometimes,
Mhm.
and vice versa.
Yes.
I mean, if you have a friend or you have a coach or you have someone that you
Mhm.
can go to, I think that's important during this time to just discuss all this stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think in families, especially our family of origin, it's not always the safest place to
Mhm.
bare our soul. And
Agreed.
I think sometimes we'll say, well, I'm really angry. Like, for example, I could say, I'm really frustrated and angry that my business got shut down for 3 months.
Yeah.
Well, then someone in my family might say, oh, you were fine. like,
Yeah.
like it's,
Yeah.
it's, you just, so sometimes you have to know, okay, I can talk to Uncle Joe about the weather and
Mhm.
about the Ravens,
Yep.
but I can't talk to Uncle Joe about why I'm so pissed off about my business right now. But I mean,
Absolutely.
but I can still talk to my friend Stacey, or I can still talk to my
Yes.
coach, or I can still talk to my therapist, or I can still talk to my best friend. We
Yes.
have to let's understand that we can't make something into something that it's not. And that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yep.
yes, I mean, you and I both know because
Mhm.
you had a mother and I have a mother that we
Mhm.
could go to for a lot of things. Most things, mostly 100% of everything.
True.
Right? Let's be honest.
That's why I have you, Cal.
Yes, we had to find other places, right? And I
Right.
think that And there's sadness in that. Oh, I can't go to my mom. I want to talk to my mom about how I voted
Yeah.
for Biden or I voted for Trump. I want to talk to them about that. That's unfair
Yeah.
that I can't talk to them about that.
Yeah.
No, it's not unfair. It just is.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
find someone else you can talk to about that. Like,
Yes.
just know, I mean, it's okay to protect ourselves during this time. Like,
Yes.
maybe we unfollow the people that we feel are
Yeah.
stirring up some stuff inside of us. We go talk to somebody like
Yes.
someone like you, and we can deal. Like,
Yeah.
there's ways of taking care of ourselves during this time besides bubble
Mhm.
baths and all that good
Yep.
stuff.
Yep.
There's other things of emotionally and mentally that we need to do on, I
Yes.
think, a daily to, I mean, I know you and I just check in on each other daily. Like, how's it
Mhm.
going? What's going
Yes.
on? Like, and I'll just be like, I'm exhausted. And you'll be like, I'm really sad. And I'm like,
Mhm.
oh my God, it's been such a good day. Yes, I'm super busy. Like, just
Yeah.
check in. We have that. If you can find someone,
Yes.
and if you don't have someone, hire Stacey. Or I mean, you can
I'm
hire me,
ready.
hire me and move your body. And that's
Absolutely. It's a beautiful combination.
so whatever you got it,
Mhm.
you get to choose how you're perceiving this time.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
although now that doesn't mean you're not going to be upset, and it doesn't mean
Of
you're
course.
not going to be sad or frustrated, but then you get to come back to you get to come back to, how am I choosing to perceive this?
Yes.
Uncle Bob is screaming at me because I voted for someone that he didn't. I
Yes.
have my sister over here losing her mind because I'm not coming to her Thanksgiving dinner.
Yeah.
I have my business closing down. I have my kids home with me. I can't get my work done. I mean, it's
Yes.
all that stuff.
Yes. You know what, Cal, when I hear you talk about that, and I've been thinking a lot about this lately, like, how can we be really good stewards of our emotions right now, right? And everything. So it's not about pushing it away, but it's really about making more space and allowing. So much of what kind of gets in all of our human way is the brain thinking it should be. Think of all the ways right now you would like to say, well, it should be this, and it should be this, and it should be this, and it's not, right? What happens is the difference between what we think it should be and what is where a lot of times we create the stress for ourselves. So, how do we get really honest and say, okay, this is what it is? And I also think, to your point, I'm listening and thinking, like, most of us haven't navigated these big of a meltdowns all together in our
Yeah.
lives. Of course, we're gonna like take a couple steps and be like, oh, I don't know about that. But this big, again, or new, maybe not big, new way of how do we navigate it in a way. Here's what I think at the heart of all of this is, how can you be on your own side? How is Kelly on her own side? How is Stacey, right? A coach, a friend, journal, working out, a walk in the woods, all the things, and asking that question on a regular basis. Like, being on my own side is not getting in a fight with Uncle Joe. I don't need to prove I'm right or I'm wrong, right? Instead of right, I choose love.
Oh
Yes.
my, so I love that because that's a huge one, right? Like, I need to be right because
Oh,
because
the
sometimes,
world wants to be right.
for example, like sometimes I feel like I'm insecure with my decision. Like, I'm making a decision for my family to not go to Thanksgiving and everyone else is. And it makes me sad. And it makes me very upset. I can't believe this COVID's going on, right? Like, I'm making this up, but you know what I mean? I'm
Yeah.
very upset. So then someone says something to me and it triggers it and it makes me more even I'm trying to protect myself. Don't you like it gets I'm already
Yeah.
upset. And then that person is saying something to me like, how could you not be at Thanksgiving with the rest of us? And then it's triggering me. And now we're in this battle.
Yeah.
And it's because instead of changing sitting back and saying, I'm making the best decision for my family.
Mhm.
And it's just for this year. There has to be an
Yes.
understanding that it's just for this moment. It's not
Yes.
forever and ever. Um,
Yes.
Maybe we can have a
Good
big
point.
party in the spring. Maybe we can have a big party this summer. It's not forever and ever.
Yeah.
It's for we're in a moment of time. We're in a season. And in
Mhm.
this season, we have to do what's best for us. And then that's okay.
Yeah.
And so being okay with your decision, getting rid of those shoulds,
Yeah.
and also taking care of yourself and realizing that it's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be
Mhm.
angry. Okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
Um, and it's okay to reach out for other people for help.
Yeah.
And it's okay that I want my kids to go to school and they're not going to school, and I'm
Mhm.
really super, super, super freaking frustrated about it.
Yeah.
I think
And
for
that's way
myself,
more
being a good
truthful.
parent,
Yeah. It's just way
or
more
something.
truthful. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it doesn't mean you have to like what is. It just is this, again, what's more truthful is, yeah, I am frustrated by this. I am feeling overwhelmed. And again, we're in a moment in time that is requiring us to really maybe do some things differently than we've ever done. And that's why to me always is like, I always go back to how can I be on my own side in this? What is, what's the most loving thing
Well, and another
that
thing,
I
think
can
about this
do?
for a second, Stace. So
Yeah,
this
throw it
idea
at
of
me.
like, let's say that you decide as a family that you're not going to participate in the big Thanksgiving meal. And let's say that your
Mhm,
you know, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, your aunt and uncle or someone is saying
mhm.
to you, "Oh my gosh, I don't know how you're not coming, and this is
Yep,
ridiculous, and we're all getting together, and we were just together, 3 months ago."
yep.
And so, but I think, and
This already, Kel,
you're
yes.
feeling bad. You're feeling bad, but I think that what you could say is, if you allowed yourself to
Mhm,
do it, to go there, to
yeah,
really is, I know, I can't believe it either.
yeah,
I'm so frustrated too. You know what?
yeah,
I'm really angry too.
yeah,
I'm really sad too.
yeah,
Like, I totally get that this is frustrating and that this is so upsetting because
yeah,
I feel that way too.
yes,
Isn't that an interesting way to connect? Instead of
yes.
saying, well, I'm sorry, we just can't, and we're trying to keep you safe and blah,
Mhm,
blah, blah. Maybe we don't go at it in that direction. Maybe we go at it from, yeah, we meet them. We meet
yeah,
them. I know you're angry. I'm angry too that I can't go. I
yeah,
know you're frustrated. I'm really sad. I'm going to really miss you. It's such a special time for us.
yeah,
I can't believe, like, instead of, it's acknowledging them and acknowledging you.
absolutely. Absolutely. And to me, that is because when somebody reacts or responds that way, what I always ask myself, what's underneath that, right? They're feeling hurt, but instead of, we have not as as a world been taught, hey, open your heart and be vulnerable. No, we usually cover it to your point around feeling safe, but you're right. If we're willing to be vulnerable and say, wow, I really hear that you're as hurt or as angry or frustrated or disappointed as I am. And tell me where I'm wrong if I'm misinterpreting, but that's what I think's underneath. But if you're willing to be brave enough to take that first step, I always believe when we're in that energy, because it's very compassionate energy too, is most people do soften, right? They do soften rather than anger that can trip into anger. I always ask, like, what's really going on here, right? Are people feeling hurt or not hurt? Or again, whatever emotion they're feeling that they might not be brave enough, or just we just aren't taught to talk that way. So it's like you
Yeah.
have the opportunity when you do it and be brave to give them permission also as
Well,
well.
and
And
with
that,
COVID and with the politics and all of the jazz that's going on right now, it
mhm,
seems so divisive in terms of this is right, this is wrong, this is
yes,
black, this is white.
yes,
And it's not like that. It's, I mean, I can't tell you, like, even like with my husband and I
mhm,
voting differently. It's interesting to me how you you can find, uh, guess what? He can love our country and I can love our country.
yes,
And we can
yes,
do something different.
yes,
Um, I can love, I can do this for the health of my family, and you can do this.
yes,
And that, and just allowing, it's so like, oh my God, my friend didn't, like, she went here and they sat
mhm,
outside at that restaurant, and I
yeah,
saw her the other day and she didn't have her nose covered with her mask. And like, it
yeah,
becomes this like thing, and you're like, take a deep breath. Like,
yeah.
sometimes you don't know what other people are going through.
Yeah, we don't.
You
And
don't know
and there,
what
there's a
is
lot of
going
judgment.
on inside people's lives and inside people's homes and inside people's finances, inside people's thoughts. You have no idea, like, why someone voted for someone and someone else. They may be coming from a completely different place than you're from. And I think
Absolutely.
that loving people enough in all their differences, in
Mhm,
all of our differences.
mhm.
You cannot want to put your kids back in school. I can really want to put my kids back in school. And guess what? We can still be friends.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, and I also hear, um, that always reminds me of that like metaphor of the iceberg that I used to use when I did corporate training, because we only see such a little part, right? And then we make it mean things based on how we interpret life and how we see life. But there's all this stuff under the waterline that we're all experiencing. And that's why I always say, in any moment, how can I be, if I'm showing up as love, or what would love tell me? Because love doesn't need to be right or wrong or that, right? That very much is that energy of judgment. To me, underneath that is fear, which we've all been taught to be very fearful. And so can we meet that with even the fear with love and say, okay, how could I do this differently? Because again, age old, if insanity is just doing the same thing over again, getting the, if that's not serving you, like, be willing to try something new, and just a little bit. It doesn't have to be, because we all have lots of things. I think just a little bit of that, whatever kind of resonates from what Kelly and I've talked about today, I think, start there. Start there.
Yeah.
And then, again, huge heaping doses of compassion for however you're going to take a misstep or they're going to take a misstep. If we just brought that energy, I think that, again, it doesn't mean everybody's going to agree with everybody else, but I think we would find our way through in a way that's way less draining and taxing on our hearts. And you're right. What I love, what I'm focusing on, Kelly, from all of this is 1 year. This is one Thanksgiving. I've had a lot of interesting Thanksgivings over the years. I don't remember that. I always remember this happened exactly like this. It's like, but wait a second, Stacey, that's not even true. So reminding myself of that, and that I can absolutely have the biggest Rona party on the other side of this with whatever I want, right? And that whatever this is, we can find, even though it's different, we can find the good. Sometimes I think the good gets overshadowed with all the other stuff. Doesn't bark as loudly, and what that is. So yeah, different, not always bad, and it doesn't mean we will choose it in the future, but we can. Now, I do believe, by taking that deep breath, Kel, that you talked about too, like, just like, take a pause, let the energy settle a little bit, because when we're in that constricted, like, we're in fight or flight because we're reacting to somebody else, I've never found my best
Go move
solutions.
your body. Go for a
Right?
walk. Take
Yeah.
action in terms of calls a friend. Take
Yes.
action. Move.
Yes.
Journal. Brain.
Yes.
Right. We do something that gets us out of that state.
Yeah.
And I think that and I think as we kind of wrap this up, I do
Yep.
think that the one thing that you said it and then I said it too. I was thinking it at the exact same time you said it.
Magic.
Is that compassion is just huge compassion,
Yeah.
and compassion for everybody and what they're going through.
Yeah.
Because this is, we're not going to pretend, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it at all. I don't do that in general, but this is a terribly difficult time.
Yes.
And so unknown and so fear-based and is very scary. And there's so
Yeah.
many unknowns. Even the people that are at the high ups and telling us all this stuff about the COVID and about the elections and about that stuff, I swear to God, half the time I'm like, I don't even know if they know what they're talking about. So it is a very fearful time, right?
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it's okay to be a little uncertain and a little bit afraid and a little bit angry and a little bit frustrated, and then bringing that compassion and allowing other people to feel all those things too, and then coming together underneath of that and being like, oh, I get where they're coming from. They're so pissed off. I bet they are pissed off. I mean, this and this and this is going on. And then I have this and this going on. And then we're meeting each other there. So bringing keep coming back around to bringing compassion and taking care of ourselves, whether that just be, like I said, like getting someone to talk to, talking to a friend, going for a walk,
Yeah.
doing something. I'm not a big like, oh, go take a bubble bath and everything's going to be better. That's not what we're talking about here.
Agreed.
It's talking about for this year, can we change our perception a little bit and be okay with it being different?
Yes.
And being all of the changes and being in the midst of this crazy time and just having and just realizing it's a season of our lives. Like we all had really bad seasons and really good seasons. Bringing compassion, bringing okay to that, and just taking it one step at a time.
And have a little fun in the, like, I know, like, again, when things feel so heavy, always go to like the
You know, have a
YouTube.
do a burpee or something.
Oh yeah, do a
Yeah.
burpee. That would be great fun. Yeah, exactly. That was on top of my head.
I thought that was your first thought.
Knew that I was going there with that. Yeah. Whatever that is, sometimes, again, it doesn't mean that we're not acknowledging, but sometimes just shift a little energy and do something just to lighten so you can look at something a little bit differently than when you're in that stance. I find that always helps. And it was it Anne Lamott that said, even humans can benefit from like being turned off and turn back, like turn yourself off, like just literally take the breath or do the thing.
Or like turn off the news.
Back on.
Turn off the news.
Yeah,
I'm saying this to my husband, by the way, if you're listening. Turn off the news.
Well, and that we let's talk about that the next time, about how you curate an environment that's very supportive, because you can be knowledgeable and also curate an environment that works for you. So I love that topic. If you have a topic that Kelly and I, or a question that we've spurred, or something you want clarification or something specific, please send us a message or a note and we will be addressing. But I feel like, Kel, we're going to do a couple of these to help people really.
Yeah.
The holidays is like, to me, because I'm a coach all around helping people navigate meltdowns, is like the biggest meltdown of the year. Then you add 2020, which is a colossal meltdown. And you're right in my sweet spot of helping people, again, get through it where you're not just collapsing on the other side. So thank you for coming. Drop us a little replay magic emoji when you watch and let us know what you think. All the things. Oh, and Kel, where can they find, if they want to find you and they want to find out more about Core Bootcamps?
They can go, Core Bootcamp starts with a K. So you can go to corebootcamps.com is my website.
Okay.
Or my Facebook page, Core Bootcamps, or Kelly Backert.
Sweet.
So those are probably the main things, but yeah.
Okay. And if you don't know me, because we're gonna post this in all the places. If you're not as familiar with me, I'm a master life coach, and you can find me, Stacey Andon, out on the interwebs, and also my website, which is myname.com. So there you have it. All right, beautifuls, have a great rest of your day. We know you can navigate with, we know you can navigate. We know it, we believe in it, and we're here to help you.
Got it.